Welcome to week 4 of the NFL season. I'm going to attempt to break down the matchups this week and pick who's going to win. Currently on ESPN, I am 27 and 21 for pick'ems in the Tom Grassi League and not doing awful, but far from good. My wife is doing way better than I am, but what's hers is mine. So I'm also a winner, I guess. But anyway, week 1, Thursday Night Football, Cowboys Giants. I'm not going to be surprised if this game is a complete dumpster fire. I don't think anyone will be. It's kind of Thursday tradition now, but this could also be a really close game, a lot closer than people think. The Giants just coming off their first win, and the Cowboys kind of all over the place. I mean, they almost won last week, but they didn't quite. The real question is, are you going to get the first 3 quarters of the Ravens game version of the Cowboys, or are you going to get the fourth quarter version of the Cowboys? And, are the Giants going to be competent in any way whatsoever? Probably not. And I'm guessing you're probably going to get a mixture of those for the Cowboys. And I'm just going to go with the Cowboys. I don't want to overcomplicate this. I just think they're the better team. Now, the Saints and Falcons. The Saints, I was pretty high on for a bit, but I'm just not totally sure what to think at this point. They are coming off a 12-point game after 2 games of scoring over 40 points. So maybe they're just coming down to earth and this is the real Saints, or maybe it was just a slip-up game. Still pretty early in the season to tell, but I'd like to think the Saints' offense is going to be pretty good in this game. Falcons also coming off a couple pretty solid games against pretty good opponents. A late game win against the Eagles and a late game loss against the Chiefs. I think that this is going to be a pretty good game. I think it's going to be probably a shootout, honestly. I think they're both going to score over 30 points. I am going to give the edge to the Falcons in this one. I'm going to fill them here with red. That looks really bad. I'm going to fill them with lighter red, I guess. Okay, up next we have the Rams and Bears. Now, I don't really know. These are 2 teams that are kind of hard to figure out right now. The Rams are hurt. Cooper Kupp's been hurt. Puka Nakua's been hurt. I don't know when either of them are back, but it could be a long season for them, depending on how long it takes for them to return. And the Bears having some upsides, but this is probably not quite the first 3 games they wanted to have for Caleb Williams' rookie season. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I am going to give the Bears the edge here. I think the Bears are obviously healthier, and it's in Chicago. If they want to stay in pace with Lions, Bears, and Vikings, Lions, Packers, and Vikings to try to keep up in the division, they're going to need to win this game, and it's a game they definitely should be able to win. So I'm going to go ahead and give them some awards there. And the next game is possibly, I think this very well should be considered the best game of the week. Between the Vikings and Packers, you have the most likely Jordan Love return game You have a Vikings team on fire. I just feel like this is going to be a great game. Vikings and Packers is one of my favorite rivalries in sports, and I cannot wait to watch this. Two quarterbacks that are playing. I mean, Jordan Love hasn't been playing, but he played pretty well week one. And you have Sam Darnold playing pretty well. And I would imagine Jordan Love will have some rest from a couple weeks off, but I don't think it'll slow him down for more than maybe a half. And I think this week, close game, I'm going to give it to the Packers, especially being in Lambeau. I cannot imagine the riots in Lambeau if the Vikings win that game, especially with the season they were supposed to have. Up next, we have the Steelers and Colts. I'm the Colts. So. Just came off a win. They not having the season Anthony Richardson was hoping for. The Steelers are having a better season than they were hoping for, and I just can't imagine the Steelers lose this game. They've been playing so well, or I don't know. They've been playing so mediocre, and they're still playing better than their opponents, and that's kind of the scary thing. Is if Justin Fields can really figure out the system, then Pittsburgh will sadly be very scary to watch. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I don't think it'll be a pretty game. I think it'll be really ugly, but I'm going to go with the Steelers. Then you have the Broncos and Jets, which is just going to be... Jets are going to run away with this. I think it's going to look about the same as that Patriots-Jets game we saw last week. I mean, I know the Broncos just had a great win against the Buccaneers, but I don't see that lasting more than a week. And I think the Jets have finally really found their groove. Finally had that solid game to get their footing ready, and I think they're off to the races. Then you have Eagles and Buccaneers. I mean, Buccaneers coming off a really disappointing loss. Like, just a miserable loss. And then you have the Eagles coming off really impressive defensive showing. I mean, I feel like if the Eagles can hold the Saints to 12 points, and the Broncos can hold the Buccaneers to 7 points, I just see this going the Eagles' way. I don't think the Buccaneers will play very well. I think that Baker will struggle, although I love watching Baker Mayfield play. I think he is one of the funnest players out there, but I think the Eagles are just going to run away with this. Then you have this nightmare of, don't get me wrong, this will be a good game, and I love Andy Dalton, I love the Bengals, but this is like worst case scenario going into week 4. Not only are the Bengals 0-3 on the verge of just total collapse, but the Panthers are like actually competent, and like, I mean, Andy Dalton played about as well as Joe Burrow did this week, and so much of me wants to give this to the Panthers, but I have to go with the Bengals at least one more time. I have to trust the Bengals to try to avoid the brink here. And after this, it's kind of over. I just don't see the Bengals' season being recovered. But if the Panthers win this game, I almost see potential to go to the playoffs. I mean, that might sound like an exaggeration, but if the Bengals win this game, they very well could make the playoffs. Sorry, if the Panthers win this game. Anyway, up next we have Jaguars and Texans. Jaguars coming off just one of the ugliest games this season. They are 0-3. There's only one game that was worse this season, and that was the Week 1 Panthers game. And I just don't see there's much hope for the Jaguars. I mean, the Texans, yeah, they had a rough game last week, losing by 27, but I mean, it's in Houston. Texans are going to bounce back, and this is the perfect game to do it. A division rival against a very wounded, just struggling Jaguars team. Definitely going Houston all the way. Next, you have Commanders and Cardinals. These are honestly two of the funnest teams out there right now. I mean, I'm still mad that the Bengals lost against the Commanders, but I have to say, the Commanders played really fun football. Like, I wasn't having a migraine, thankfully. I missed a lot of the game from having a migraine. I was spared a solid quarter or two or so of that traumatic experience for the Bengals. But I mean, the part I did see, if I wasn't a Bengal fan, I'd be pretty excited for this, what I saw the Commanders do that last night. And, Cardinals with Kyler Murray and their developing core, I just feel like they have a chance to really surprise a lot of people. They already did surprise a lot of people with that creaming of the Rams a couple weeks ago, but I think they definitely have a chance. Both these teams have a chance to surprise people and make the playoffs, but I'm going to go with the Commanders in this. I think that they're just a hotter team, and they have showed more last week, and I feel like they're in the right direction. And the Cardinals, I'm not totally sure of, even though there is a lot of potential. Next, you have Patriots and 49ers. The Patriots, I mean, I have to give it to them. They did win week 1. They took the Seahawks to overtime. But Thursday Night Football, I think we just saw the true Patriots. A solid defense, even though, Aaron Rodgers ended up having a pretty solid game against them. But, their offense is just bad. 3 points. Pretty sure he got sacked Jacoby Brissett got sacked 8 times. This is just the real Patriots team. I think that they're only going to win a few more games. But the 49ers, I mean, they are a bit banged up, but I think that they do have a chance to come out and get back on track. Be, a really kind of sad Patriots offense and just make it happen here. Browns and Raiders. I mean, these teams are both coming off of just the most miserable losses I think either could experience. I mean, both teams getting blown out by just disaster teams. Although the Panthers are on the up and up. I don't want to completely discredit the Panthers, but Browns losing to the Giants. There's just no excuse for that. The Giants are not on the up and up. They didn't just change quarterbacks. There was really no reason to lose that game. So I'm going to go with the Raiders. I just feel like Raiders have it together a lot more, and there's just a lot more hope for them in general. After that, we have Chiefs and Chargers. I mean, this could be a really interesting game. The Chargers are having a solid season. They did have a rough game this past week. I mean, the Steelers were hot though. Steelers defense is great, so I don't want to overreact to only scoring 10 points against the Steelers, but I do think the Chiefs are a more reliable team, and I'm going to go with them. They are undefeated for a reason, and I think they are just the better team. Next, you have Ravens and Bills. This is a tough one because the Ravens are, I don't think they're quite back to their dominant status, but they are getting there. And I think if it was not one of the league's hottest teams that they were playing against this week, they'd probably win. But the Bills, I mean, they just came off a 47-point whooping of the Jaguars, or well, 37-point win. They scored 47 points. I mean, the Bills are just on fire, even though they have no reason to be other than Josh Allen is just that good. The Ravens are putting it back together, but they did almost blow a fourth quarter lead, and I don't think they're quite back. I'm going to give it to the Bills. I think the Bills are there. The Bills have it figured out. The Ravens are still just getting there, but not quite there. The Ravens are still getting there, not quite there. Now, getting down to the Monday night games, Titans and Dolphins. The Dolphins played decent against the Seahawks. I mean, they didn't play good, but they could have played worse. I mean, only 3 points isn't great, but could be worse. And I think the Titans, I mean, they scored 14 points, but I just feel like the Dolphins, I don't know. I'm going to give it to them. I just feel like I'm just going to give it to them. And lastly, we have Seahawks and Lions. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I think the Lions are definitely the better team. And this could be a really fun game, but the Seahawks are just on fire, and they are winning, and I just see them winning this game somehow. So there you have it. Going with Cowboys, Falcons, Bears, Packers, Steelers, Jets, Eagles, Bengals, Texans, Commanders, Niners, Raiders, Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, and Seahawks. And watch me just